The ocean covers approximately 70% of the Earth's surface. It sustains life on Earth, supplying over half the oxygen that we breathe, regulating the Earth's climate. It also provides, through its fisheries, employment to 180 million people around the world and food to billions. I'm Alex Moen. I get to work on a daily basis with National Geographic explorers. These are passionate individuals who are changing the world through the power of science and exploration. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you today one of those remarkable individuals. Dr. Enric Sala grew up in coastal Spain, fell in love with the sea at a very early age, witnessing the negative impacts of pollution, overfishing, climate change. He's dedicated his life to finding ways to restore health and productivity to the ocean. Enric, together with National Geographic, launched the Pristine Seas project, which is dedicated to finding, surveying, and helping to protect the last wild places in the ocean. These pristine areas represent the health of the global ecosystem and are emblematic of the vision that Enric has for the ocean in 2030. So pleased to tell you more, welcome Dr. Enric Sala, National Geographic Explorer in Residence.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon. This week, the UN General Assembly is approving 17 goals, one of which is life below water. And many people have asked me, but why do we need life below water? Why is life below water very important? So today I'm going to answer two questions. One is why do we need that global goal about the ocean? And another one is what's our preferred vision for the future of the ocean in 2030. And as Alex said before, the ocean is a living machine that gives us oxygen, sucks much of the carbon pollution that we put in the atmosphere every year. It gives us 100 million tons of seafood every year. And in my previous life, I was a professor of marine biology, studying the impacts of humans in the ocean. So I was describing how we are taking fish out of the ocean faster than they can reproduce. For the large fish in the ocean on top of the food chain, like the big tuna and the sharks, in the last 100 years alone, we have removed 90% of them. They are gone. We ate them. Not only we killed the large fish, but also the way we fish is so destructive that for some fisheries like this is a satellite photo of bottom trawlers catching shrimp in the South China Sea. We can see them from a satellite. These fisheries are so destructive that for every pound of shrimp that we catch, we kill and discard overboard between 5 and 10 pounds of other animals, including fish. And on top of that, we have pollution, 8 million tons of plastic we throw in the ocean every year. And global warming, climate change is making the ocean warmer and more acidic, killing the coral reefs that were formerly lush and diverse and rich. And now many of the coral reefs of the world, about a quarter of them look like this, like a ghost reef full of microbes, seaweed, and very few fish to be seen. So imagine I was doing this work and I felt like I was writing the obituary of the ocean. I felt like the doctor who's telling the patient how she's going to die with excruciating detail, but not offering a cure. So I decided to quit academia and dedicate my entire life to work on helping to restore the health of the ocean. And there are many solutions. There are many problems affecting the ocean: overfishing, pollution, climate change. And there are many solutions. There is no single bullet. There are many, many solutions. But I want to focus on one solution that works. And this is what I decided to do after quitting my job in academia, to work on this Pristine Seas project, to try to get places protected. And so what happens when we close an area off limits to fishing, development, mining, drilling? Well, it doesn't take much to understand that if you don't kill the fish, they take a longer time to die. They grow larger, they reproduce a lot. And what we've seen is that for areas that are fully protected and are well managed, marine life comes back spectacularly. So on average, the size of the fish inside one of these national parks in the sea increases by 1/3. And the biomass of fish, the tons of fish per square mile, increases by an average of 450%. That's more than, well, nothing in Wall Street has these returns except for a Ponzi scheme. And and then people ask me, okay, see, this is great. You close these areas to fishing, and of course the fish come back. But what will happen to the poor fishermen who were fishing there? Well, these reserves have benefits that extend beyond their boundaries, because there are so many fish. They reproduce so much. Look at this increase in fish biomass. It's spectacular. That then some of these fish spill over the boundaries of these reserves and help to replenish the populations of the fish around the reserve. So the fishermen are catching more. And there are examples like a reserve in Mombasa in southern Kenya, where thanks to a small reserve, the fisheries not only have increased their catch, but they have doubled their income. So they have been thrown out of poverty. And then people ask me, okay, this is great, but still it's going to cost a lot of money to create this reserve just to help a few poor fishermen. So, well, we have an answer for that too, because when the fish come in, the divers also come in. And these areas support a thriving tourism industry. I did most of my work when I was a young scientist off the Mediterranean coast of Spain. There is a 1 square kilometer marine reserve, just 1 square kilometer, the size of four blocks here in Manhattan. It has the largest biomass of fish in the Mediterranean. It attracts 70,000 divers every year. And not only that, but that little reserve created 200 new jobs and brought 10 million euros per year to the local economy. And at the other extreme, we have the Great Barrier Reef in Australia that supports 56,000 jobs and brings, through tourism mostly, 5 billion Australian dollars to the economy. So these reserves have social, economic, and ecological benefits. And so people then ask me, okay, what's going to happen with climate change? All of these places, like this one, that are affected by warming and bleaching, if you protect them from fishing, these places are not going to benefit. You cannot stop warming. Well, that's true. But when we have the entire ecological machine in one place, when we protect the place, so we have every single organism from the microbes to the sharks, the system, that environment is more resilient. This is a photograph from the eastern coast of Palau in Micronesia that was affected by a warming event in '97, then affected by a cyclone. This place was not protected. It never came back. It's destroyed. At the other side of the country, there is a place that suffered the same impacts, but it's protected, and this is what we have there. Now, these places, these marine reserves are making the marine environment more resilient. So by protecting these places, we are making the ocean more resilient to adapt to the effects of climate change, and we are buying time. Now, the next question is, wow, this works so well. This is fantastic. It has economic, social, ecological benefits. So how many marine reserves are there? Well, right now, only 1% of the ocean is fully protected from us. Only 1%. The UN target is 10% of the ocean protected by 2020, although scientific studies suggest that at least 20% should be protected. So think of the ocean that is unprotected as a bank account where everybody withdraws, but nobody makes a deposit. No, it doesn't take, you don't need to be an economist to understand what's going to happen to that account. These marine reserves, these areas that are fully protected from our extractive activities, are savings accounts with a principal set aside that produces returns that we can enjoy. So through our National Geographic Pristine Seas project, we are trying to help achieve this goal of the Sustainable Development Goal number 14 of life below water. We are working with partners and governments to help create very large national parks in the ocean. And we have already been lucky to work with 6 governments that have created some of the largest marine reserves in the world, covering over 2 million square kilometers, or the size of Alaska and Texas together. And more reserves are coming from the Arctic to the tropics. And finally, my vision for 2030, the ocean in 2030, is very simple. I don't want to see an ocean devoid of fish and full of microbes and jellyfish. I love to see an ocean with clear water and full of fish and marine life, so that this ocean can continue to provide for us. Thank you very much.